What's up, Tackle Warehouse fans? It is an ICAST edition of What's New at Tackle Warehouse. We've got a pile of product to talk about today. Today is the first day of the ICAST show 2025. We're at the show. We're going to be doing interviews, tons of videos, tons of coverage. Let us know in the comments which pros, which booths you want us to go over and check out. So we're kind of pre-filming this. We're in California right now, but we got the Florida Vibe shirts on, so we're already mentally there at the show. So we're going to talk about a bunch of products today that is a good majority of the ICAST show. Now, some of these products are up for pre-order. Some of them are only available for in-stock notifications for email, depending on what product it is. Some stuff we might only have just one of, and we don't even have it up on the website yet, but we will get it up as soon as possible. So this is a bunch of product that a bunch of our vendors were gracious enough to send us our way to help make this episode possible. We send a huge thank you to all the vendors that helped us out to put this together. So first up, from 13 Fishing is a completely new series of rod called the Jinx series. So our rep dropped off a bunch of 13 rods that I got to check out, and without even knowing, I was checking this rod out, and I was immediately assuming this is probably like a $200, $250 rod. And checking out the product descriptions and kind of the features of this rod, comes in at $89. So this is a sweet rod. Like I said, it's built like a much higher end rod, and you're getting it for $89. So it's got 24-ton carbon blank here. Down on the reel seat here, it's got like an aluminum locking nut and kind of their own designed reel seat with a bunch of blank exposure on there. So tons of sensitivity. Got a nice cork EVA combo handle, their Evolve Snaggletooth Keeper, and then up at the guides, they've got their own Evolve guides on there as well. So a phenomenal rod for only $89. They've got a ton of different models, casting, spinning, cranking, whatever you need. I believe it's going to be pretty hard to beat this one this year at that price point. We'll get that guy out of the way here. All right, let's get into some baits because we have quite a bit to talk about. First one from Bait Sanity. This is the new Chimera 11.5-inch glide bait. A giant glide bait, which is really cool. This is, we've been waiting for this one to come out for a long, long time. Now, it's an 11.5-inch bait, but that's including the length of the tail. So what's cool about that bait, or this bait in particular, is it's gonna have that big profile, but it's not gonna be as cumbersome and as much of as taxing on your body to throw as you would with normal 11-inch glide baits, or like those 12-inch glide baits. It seems like once you break into that class, like over that, 9 to 10-inch glide bait, once you go into that next class of baits, they're really heavy and it takes a lot to throw them. You can ask our general manager and how his shoulder feels after throwing a hinkle all day. So this bait right here weighs 7 ounces, so it's still a heavy bait, but it's not in that 10, 12, 13 ounce range. That really takes a lot, specialized equipment, takes a lot of force to throw those things. So built on that proven platform of the Chimera that gets a great gliding action. It's a phenomenal chopping bait. You can either use your rod tip or you can use the reel handle and just twitch this thing in place, and it gets crazy good chopping action, but now in just an overall bigger profile. This has got their same I think it's a sink to swim technology. That there's a couple chambers in here that this bait will float right out of the gate, but then a couple chambers fill up with water once you start fishing it and gets it to slowly sink and kind of suspend in the water column. And it comes with tungsten adhesive strips, so you can actually customize the weight on it. So that is the new 11.5-inch Chimera shad. The next one here is a new, and now we're going the opposite direction of a Bait Sanity. So this is the smaller broom walker. So when this thing came out, they've been hard to keep in stock. The big, I believe it's an 11.5-inch bait. So a big, giant topwater bait that's kind of something that's a profile like punker style, and a giant walking bait that gets tremendous bites. Well, he's taken that shape and put it into a smaller package, but with the tail on there, it still actually provides a really big profile from underneath. So when the fish are looking at it, it's not just this like 5-inch bait. It's actually a lot bigger profile when you include that tail. Now these baits they have a unique head shape, and they've got this kind of winged design on there, and they are kind of flat and just a little bit different shape than most of, like your typical Zara spook. And they're kind of flatter, but the glide on this topwater bait is insane how far you can get these things to glide side to side. It's a really cool topwater bait. And then on the inside, there's actually a knocker in the head that is, and the big one sounds like a spray paint can, and this one is almost just as loud, and it's in a smaller bait. So really cool bait from Bait Sanity coming out. That is a smaller, I believe it's a 5.5 inch boom walker bait. Now, continuing to go down in size from Bait Sanity, we got these new BFS micro glides and crank down baits. So there's two options, one with a bill, one without a bill. And these are the simple bait, glide bait, crank down. These things are tiny, tiny little baits. They're only 2-inch baits. So if you want one you can kind of crank it down and kind of have more of a swimming action, you can go with the one with the bill on it. But if you want one without the bill that's kind of glide and swim more of an S action, more side to side, instead of kind of a straight line, you can go with the non-bill, kind of the glide bait. But you know, BFS fishing is super hot. This is gonna be super fun to throw on any of your favorite BFS setups, you know, like 4, 5, 6 pound test, and fish those tiny little baits and catch a ton of fish. So that's gonna wrap up Bait Sanity. Let's get into some stuff from Bill Lewis. So this one really caught my eye when we got the sample into the office. This is, I believe it's the DR24. The guys editing, they'll get all the names down there below. I got about 50 products to get through, so I'm for sure not getting all the names right. But this new crankbait from Bill Lewis, this thing runs 22 to 24 feet, but as you can see, it's shaped like a sports car. It has, you know, a nice sleek transition here from the bill to the head. And then it's also got these channels kind of grooved into the side of the body. And what that does is it just pushes more water downward and gets this bait to dive super quick down to the strike zone and keep it down in the strike zone for a longer period of time. It's got a tremendous weight transfer system. If you can catch that on the camera, it's got a big one knocker in there. So this thing flies like a bullet, and it's got that kind of, you know, that kind of one knocker rattle to it. And then it's got really nice treble hooks on it, but a big deep diving crankbait that it's gonna be easy to cast, easy to get down to the strike zone, and it's gonna stay there. New deep diving crankbait there from Bill Lewis. The next one here is smaller bait. This one is called the Baby Bubbler. So a small plopper style bait. Gonna be great for any of the times when you need to fish a plopper style bait, kind of in finesse situations if you're fishing if you're fishing ponds, really clear water, or you're just fishing a fishery that's got small bait fish in it, or just, you know, smaller fish, or they're just keyed in on really small shad. That's gonna be really fun to throw. With those small ploppers too, they're not overly aggressive. They're not crazy loud like the big full-size one. So just a small sputtering on the surface and gets a bunch of bites. Let's see another one here from Bill Lewis. This one here, this one's caused quite a stir in the office. We're kind of interested in this bait. This one's called the Big Giz. So made to mimic those big gizzard shad on all of your, you know, Tennessee River lakes or places where you have big gizzard shads. This is a cool bait. It's kind of like a lipless crank and a blade bait kind of made a baby. And it's a 6-inch bait. It weighs 2¼ ounces, I believe. It's got a fan, you know, the brush tail on there. It looks really cool. And you can kind of fish it like, you know, like a few baits at once. You know, you can fish it like a blade bait. It's got the different holes on the top to change the vibration. Or you can fish it like a lipless crankbait. It's got rotating hook hangers on there. Really eliminates leverage. Really cool, you know, 3D printed, or not 3D printed, 3D fins and gills, eyes on there. It has a really cool finish, and just something that's a little bit different and kind of a hybrid bait you can do a lot of stuff with if you're really trying to capture that big thread fin or big gizzard shad profile. This is something they definitely have not seen yet. From Frog Factory, another unique one that was really cool when it came in, this is the Mongrel. So this frog is a hybrid style bait. It does have a hard head on it with rattles in it. So it makes a lot of noise, but then the tail end is like a soft body frog. And it's got a big frog hook on the back. It's got slick coating on there. I believe it's a BKK hook and a single tail. But what this is going to do, this is going to be like a hollow body frog and like a walking bait, like a spook, kind of combined into one. So you can fish this through the heavy slop and weeds and get it through that stuff, but you can pause it in those holes and walk it back and forth, and it's going to make a lot of noise. I mean, I believe all of us are trying to add rattles into our frogs and generate that kind of a noise, but it's never going to sound like that with those rattles that are on hard plastic like that. And then in open water, for sure, you can walk it just like how you would any kind of spook style topwater bait, but you can run it right through a bush, right through cover, through grass, and not have any problems with the treble hooks hanging up. And that frog hook on the back has got a lot of meat on it, so I don't think you're gonna have any problem getting hookups with that one. From Snagproof, kind of another unique hybrid design. So this one's called the Zoe Prop. This one, kind of another hybrid, it's a hollow body design, but on the back here, it's got a prop. So kind of like what a lot of people, you see them throwing in Florida early in the season, like the Devil's Horse or the Boy Howdy. Something, that's a prop style topwater bait is super effective early in the pre-spawn season. Now, this is just gonna allow you to get through that grass, get through that cover, and then kind of stir up the water and have that same kind of action. That with that prop on there, and that hollow body, I don't know if it's gonna move as much water. It does have a super sharp hook, but the hook is a little bit narrower than like your traditional frog. It's a lot narrower of a body. So it's not gonna be like treble hooks on the bottom. But just a really cool bait that I think is gonna play when you're wanting that action, but you can't get it into the type of cover you're gonna fish. The next one here is their pad brambler. So just a classic style frog made for fishing in lily pads, mats, all that stuff. What I noticed about this frog is they've kind of carved out the back and made these channels for the hook points to sit in and really increase that gap on the hook itself. So there's nice channels. The hook sits in there perfectly. It's not just a regular hollow body and the hooks are coming around the outside. With all that hook protected and covered in there, it's really gonna allow this thing to go through cover and have minimal issues with grabbing grass and weeds and things like that, and just causing a headache when you're out there frog fishing. Really nice colors, a little mylar in there in the skirt. It's gonna walk phenomenally out there in open water. Really cool frog design by Snagproof. Okay, let's get into some glide baits here from G-Rat. These are another ones that we were pretty pumped about. So these are the new and improved version of the G-Rat baits, like the Sneaky Pete glide baits. So with these glide baits, they've got a more refined finish on them. They've got 3D eyes, gills, textured scales, just a really cool updated version of the Sneaky Pete glide baits. And they've got two versions. So they've just got the regular 2.0 version, and then they've also got a Steve Kennedy Signature Series. And in the Steve Kennedy Signature Series, Steve's got his own colors, and they were actually precisely weighted exactly how he wants them to actually suspend in the water column. So instead of a slow sink, he wants them to just go down a little bit and then just suspend right there in the water column. And then if you need to fine tune it, you can always go up in like hook size or split ring size, or add weights if you need to for different times of the year with different water temperatures. But just super stoked to see new updated versions of the Sneaky Pete glide baits. The next one here is they've got their, I believe it's called the Rocker, their little rocker minnow. So it's got a small pin tail on it, a little fork tail, excuse me, and that bait, super narrow, super thin body, textured on there, but really it's made for the scope fishing. It's weighted, and you can twitch it on your jig head and get that thing. It's gonna roll side to side, and super easy with the way it's shaped and the way it's designed. It's gonna be super effortless to throw that thing on a jig head and get it to roll side to side if you're looking for a new minnow for your scoping. All right, bunch of stuff from Yamamoto. Yamamoto is, this first one is the hinge minnow. So like I said, we got a lot to get through. I'm for sure messing up some of these names. So this first hinge minnow, a really unique design from Yamamoto that's got kind of some wings kind of molded into the side. Not really wings, more like a ridge. And then it's got that hinge back there on the tail. So you can rig it on a jig head and really work this thing erratically, and it's gonna twitch and dart all over the place and just get a really great swimming action. And then it's got a vertical forked tail on it as well. It's got split belly on there, so you can get plenty of hook penetration, but I think this is going to be a great option for those times when you're just looking for a little bit different action, maybe something a little bit more erratic when you're fishing like a normal soft plastic jerkbait or a fluke, and you need something that's just going to maybe dart a little bit more, and then those kind of ridges on the outside help keep it down as well. So with a fluke, sometimes you really got to weight those hooks and really work those things and pause them for a long time, or else they come shooting up out of the water. This is going to help with that. Now we're getting into the fuzzy baits. Tons of fuzzy baits coming out on the market this year from a bunch of different brands. So from Yamamoto, we got the fuzzy Yuki, and then we have the fuzzy Senko, and then the fuzzy Nugget. So different size offerings. This is just the Yamatanuki. Now it's got skirting material through it, just a different action profile. The fuzzy baits are super hot this year. This one, I think it's going to be a little bit more fun to throw since you don't have to go down to like 4-pound test and a spinning rod. These Yamatanuki, these like scat style baits are actually made to be fished on 15, 20-pound line on like a medium heavy bait casting rod with a big EWG on it. So, and then they sink super, super fast. And then you have, the tried and true Yamamoto Senko. There's probably been more fish caught on this bait than any other bait out there on the market. And now you have a fuzzy version of that bait. And then if you want to go down to the ultra finesse, they've got the fuzzy Nugget. So small one. If you want to put a weight in it and kind of Nico rig it, or you can throw it on a drop shot, do whatever. Now Yamamoto's got a small super finesse offering if you want to go with that one. They've also got another, I would say we're calling them the dice style baits. This one is the uni. So a perfect sphere on the inside, and then down here on the tentacles actually have little bulbs on them. So something that I also really haven't seen in this style of bait yet. I know it's, there's new developments every day in this style of fishing. And this one with the little bulbs on it, it actually is going to make those arms quiver a little bit more than you would get with like the skirting material. So just a different take on it. If you're looking for a dice style bait, another one to try out and throw in the arsenal. The last one from Yamamoto is the one I'm actually most pumped about. This is the new 4-inch fat shad shape worm. So last year they added a bunch of shapes or sizes to the shad shape worm, and now they've got a fat version. So this one, just a little bit meatier, bigger profile, going to be a little bit better, be a little easier to cast on your scope jig heads, and then also probably going to slow that sink rate down a little bit. So with a bigger, bulkier plastic, it's not going to fall as quick as one of the other thinner body worms or shad shape worms. And then with that increased mass, it's going to be easier to roll this thing side to side. But a bunch of other great options like vibrating jig trailer, scroungers, throwing it on a drop shot, whatever you want. Just a really cool bait in all these classic Yamamoto colors. All right, I think we're going to pause here for an AFCO sponsored water break. Okay, get into some jigs. From Dirty Jigs, we got a new Weekender series of jigs. I think this is really cool. Brooks is doing a great job over at Dirty Jigs. It's really hard to beat the quality of Dirty Jigs, and now he's kind of offering a couple jigs at a little bit lower price point. So I believe these are each $4.29 a piece. So we have your Weekender series casting jig and then your Weekender series swim jig. Now, you're getting Dirty Jigs quality, but when you go to the Weekender series, you are just going to give up a couple of things to lower the cost a little bit. And one of those is going to be like on your swim jig, you're not going to get like the 3D eye. So it's just going to have a more textured kind of head shape instead of the 3-tone color heads with all the colors in it and the 3D eye. So just a little bit more plain head. It's got a VMC hook in it, so maybe not a Gamakatsu hook. And then you have a casting jig, again, more of a plain finish on the head instead of like a 3-tone, but saves you a little bit more money. And most of the time, you probably don't need all those extra colors. And the colors he's offering in these jigs, I believe they have 8 or 10 of kind of your most popular or the colors you actually need for bass fishing. And you're not falling into the trap like most of us, and you don't need the 85 different colors of jigs like we probably think we need. But a couple new offerings there from Dirty Jigs in the Weekend series. And then he's also got a new tungsten. This is the pure tungsten guppy head. This thing is awesome. So it's pure tungsten, so it's crazy small. I believe this one right here is I believe, a 1/4 ounce size, and it is tiny, tiny, tiny. Comes with a premium hook on it. It's a Gamakatsu 604 hook. So all around, phenomenal components. And most of your tungsten heads that are available out there on the market right now, most of them are just going to be a plain tungsten composition. You're not going to get the details like the different colors on them, 3D eyes. Most of your tungsten heads are just plain chrome. This is going to give you that more realistic finish and a premium jig head for your scoping needs, or if you just want something smaller and more finesse. Back onto the dice with our buddies over at G-Crack. So this is the G-Crack Q-Bomb Finesse. So another dice style bait. So again, it's very similar to the Q-Bomb they already sell, but what's unique to the Finesse model, if I can get this skirt out of the way here, is this skirting is a lot thinner and there's a lot less of it. So compared to the other Q-Bomb, it just overall has a smaller profile in the water. So again, I mean, these baits are already small, but if you're trying to take it another step further and get even more finesse with it, that's going to be a great option for you. It's going to have even less action and just more of a subtle approach than the regular Q-Bomb. And then this one, I'm already forgetting the name of this worm, but it's an 18-inch worm here from G-Crack. It's made out of the SAF, the SAF material that we all love the smell so much. But man, this thing, there's got to be something going on with these long, skinny worms that is kind of a secret bite going on, because I'm seeing more and more of these pop up on the market. But I mean, it's a lot of worm, but the ways you can fish these things is you can throw them on wacky rigs, Nico rigs, drop shot, and then kind of the idea behind these worms is kind of just leave them in the water, and with very minimal input from the angler, these things move and just keep getting crazy action. So, I mean, just trying to hang on to this thing and seeing how much it moves, I for sure believe it, and definitely need to try it out myself. Never tried out, these super long, skinny, small worms. I've always been like a 12-inch power worm guy, but this is for sure going to get some bites in some tough conditions, and not a lot of people are throwing that thing. Another size extension that they've got from G-Crack is a new 2.8-inch size in the Bellows shad. I'm super stoked about this one simply because I like this shad profile, the Bellows shad, a little bit more than the gill. And then it also lends itself to a few more applications. With that shape right there, you're gonna be able to put it on like those small, like mini max style chatterbaits or other, small jig heads, or, a bunch of different things. Put it on a drop shot, besides just, throw it in on like a Texas rig style hook. Bunch of different things you can do with it. New smaller size of the G-Crack Bellows shad. All right, we're getting into the Crush City here. Probably the most winningest bait in the last couple of years is the Mooch Minnow. So a couple of size extensions from the Mooch Minnow. We got a new 2.5-inch size and 4.5-inch size. So bring these down here. When that bait came out, I don't know how many thousands of them that people have bought and went out, and I don't know how many thousands of dollars Wheeler and Connell have won on that bait. But now a couple more sizes to add to the lineup. So if you got to go down or up, to really mimic the size of forage, they've got you covered. A couple new size extensions there. Another size extension in the Mayor swim bait. So they've got a 3-inch size, or 3.5-inch size, I'm sorry. So just filling in that gap, another fish catching bait, but just filling in the holes in that lineup, and making sure you have all the sizes and profiles you need in the Crush City lineup. The other fish catcher that's won tons and tons of money is the Freeloader shad. So now you can get it in a 5 1/4 size and a 6 1/4 size. I'm stoked to see these bigger sizes coming out, especially for like scrounger head fishing and just when you need a bigger profile, you're throwing them on a jig head and you want something that's going to mimic those bigger shad. It seems like this year we've been seeing more and more of that. It's getting more popular to throw those bigger shad profiles versus the small 3-inch ones, and winning a lot of money on them. So now bigger sizes in the Freeloader. Let's see, a couple new shapes in the Crush City lineup here. The first one is going to be the Jerk. If I can get that thing up in time, or just hold it steady. It's heavily scented and slippery, but it's the same body as like your Mooch Minnow, but it's got a forked tail on it. So instead of that little kicking swimming tail, If you want something that doesn't really have much action at all, you can go to the jerk. It's just going to have even more subtle, just going to kind of quiver right there in the water. And then also got the salted Ned roll. So all the Ned rig anglers got a new offering. So this is made out of a plastic that's going to float up off the bottom. And then also it has that kind of paddle, I don't know what you call that. I guess like a paddled tail, a flattened out tail, going to quiver, move, and get a ton of bites. When you need something finessey to get a lot of bites and not drop it on the table there, salted Ned roll is going to be one you want to check out. Okay, from VMC, probably going to drop all this stuff after getting Crush City scented up here. Their new minnow head. So they got a new minnow shaker jig. It's called the minnow shaker jig. So they specifically designed this one to match up with all these different offerings from Crush City. You can fish whatever plastic you want on there as well. But what's cool about this is they went to that 45-degree line tie. They said that is getting them the best rolling action side to side. And then you can see on there, those keepers, super unique. It just keeps all the weight up there in the front of the jig head. And then those 4 barbed keepers on there are going to lock your plastics in place. No problem. So when you get that school fired up, you can just keep fishing for them. And you're not going to be wasting time re-rigging baits and save yourself a lot more money with those as well. The GT swim bait head. So this one was actually available from Storm with that whole 360 GT series. And that series of baits has gone away, but anglers have been begging for that head to come back. So VMC is bringing it back. Got the premium VMC hook in there, 3-cone keeper, just an all-around really good swim bait head that is backed by popular demand. This one here is a hook that I'm actually pretty fired up about. So this is the VMC Fluke hook. This is actually a Seth Feider design, and come to find out, Seth Feider was actually kind of making his own version of this, and VMC, super cool, they're making this hook for him. So unique design. You can see right here in kind of the elbow of the hook, there's a mono keeper on there. So that's going to lock the head of your fluke bait on there really well. And then there's a swivel on the front. So if you ever fished a fluke really fast and fished it really erratically, they spin and twist your line up, that is going to eliminate that. And that tiny bit of weight help keep that head down and allow you to fish a little bit faster without the fluke jumping out of the water. And this is built on an offset round bend red line hook with that textured gray coating on it. So a premium hook from the VMC lineup and now specifically made for fluke fishing. There's other applications for it, but it's really going to shine when you're fishing flukes. Another one from VMC, what is this one called? The Sniper Swivel. So something I've seen, steelhead fishing, float fishing up in the Northwest, and now VMC is kind of offering something that you can kind of use in that market, and then also modified Carolina rigs and stuff like that. So it's a swivel on both ends with a weight in the middle. So if you do rig it up like a Carolina rig, it's going to kind of act more like a split shot, but you're not going to have a kinked up line or anything, and then you have double swivels, so it keeps all the twist out of your line. But again, so you can also use it for your float style fishing with like bobbers and jigs and stuff like that. A bunch of different sizes, nice matte finish to them, and got the weight stamped there on the side so you always know what you're using with that Sniper Swivel. Getting to a couple hard baits here from Rapala, if I can get that off the package. So this one is the Snare, I believe. Yeah, the Snare 50. So lipless crankbait, really cool shape, super high quality finish. With some of these new baits that are coming from Rapala, like all these like elite style baits that they're coming out with, they come with really good paint jobs, VMC hybrid trebles, really good quality baits, but the finish on this bait is awesome. What's great about this bait, it's going to have your lipless crankbait rattle, so pretty loud. It's going to have a ton of vibration on the pump on the way up, but then as you kill this bait or let it sink, it's actually going to have a little bit of a swimming action on the way down. So a couple different actions in one. Really cool lipless crankbait there from Rapala. Another added crankbait to the lineup, adding a line extension, is a Rapala DT12. This one's great. I mean, the Rapala DT series is pretty infamous. I don't need to go into great detail about the DT series. Now you got a DT12. I know a lot of us, we love that DT10, and this is the same body size as the DT10 with a bigger bill on it to get you down to 12 feet. So great size extension there, the new DT12. The last one is the new clap tail. Now I saw a picture of this thing and I was like, what is going on here? So this is a Wheeler design, and I think they worked a long time to get this thing just right, and a lot of trial and error went into this. So you can kind of hear how loud it is with those blades clinging into each other. So it's a plopper style bait, but when that blade swings around and it hits this small blade, it makes a very loud kind of dinging noise, but also with the plopping noise of the regular, just the tail spinning around, you're gonna get kind of a two-tone action. So really loud, two-tone noise, and if you've ever fished plopper style baits, sometimes they get really keyed in onto a certain sound. This is gonna add a little bit different sound into your arsenal. Premium hardware, really cool colors, the new clap tail from Rapala. I think we're almost through it here. Let's get into some stuff from Z-Man. Oh, another Seth Fighter design. This is another good one here. So this one is the new Llama Tube. That's the Llama Tube, and then the Llama Tube jig head. So the Seth Fighter design, really compact, this really compact tube design. They've got these jig heads in a bunch of different sizes, and they fit perfectly in this tube. So since it's made out of Elastec as well, you're gonna be able to catch about 1 million fish on it and not have to re-rig, which is really cool. But I mean, for this time of the year, especially if you're up north, you're fishing for smallmouth and they're getting a lot of pressure and you're downsizing, we see a lot more companies coming out with small, super finesse stuff for those pressured smallmouth. This is gonna be one you wanna check out. So a bunch of different sizes for the heads. You can fish it in the middle of the water column. You can fish it on the bottom. A bunch of great colors, really cool design there from Z-Man and Seth Fighter. And next up from Z-Man, we have the Micro Max. So a tiny, tiny little chatterbait. And this one, I think they're calling this like a BFS style chatterbait. You can definitely throw this on your lightest action casting rod. 6-pound test, put a little trailer on there and catch tons and tons of fish, and just overall just show the fish a really small profile. Everything's really top quality components, really sharp hook, nice blade, hand-tied skirt. Awesome, just adding to that lineup of chatterbaits, and now you have micro size. Just if you really got to downsize, they've got you on that one. And then last up from Z-Man, more fuzzies. So like I said, there's a bunch of fuzzy baits coming out this year, and there's more of them. They're kind of taking some of their shapes they've already got, and they're just adding that skirting material to it. So you've got the fuzzy TRD, you got the fuzzy bugs, and then the fuzzy nuggets. So this one's more like your dice style. It's actually like a 12-sided dice. So you can rig these up a whole variety of ways for that ultra finesse style bite if you're looking for more fuzzy baits. The last thing I think we're gonna cover here from Rapala is a bunch of new storage accessories. So they've got new lure wraps. I believe this is called just the Rapala wrap, I believe is the name. But what I liked about it is they have kind of it's not a fully square shape. I like the kind of tapered design of it. Clear body, really high quality. So you can always see what's going on in there, but just a really nice lure wrap. Seems like it's gonna last a lot longer than the others. And then a couple options like these bags, you can put like your plastics in there. That heavy vinyl out on the outside, gonna last a long time. Way better than using 1 gallon bags. And then this one is kind of a bigger style pack here that you can load up with all your favorite soft plastics and keep everything organized. Just a better way than how most of us are just throwing everything in the bottom of a boat or in a backpack or something like that. Keep all your plastics organized by type or however you want. Just great new storage options there from Rapala. All right, we made it through. Thanks for sticking around and checking out all this great new gear. Like I said, we're gonna be at the show. We're gonna be filming all this stuff at the show. We're probably gonna have some more in-depth rundowns on all this stuff from each brand. So if you wanna go over to the YouTube channel or tackwarehouse.com, you can check out our ICAST landing page. And we're gonna run around and talk to some of these pros that design this stuff, talk to the vendors, to the guys designing these different baits, and see if we can get really get the inside scoop on a lot of these products. But yeah, so make sure you go check out our YouTube channel or tacklewarehouse.com. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more ICAST coverage.